Bank holiday Monday means nothing to me. It's the same thing. I work. That's what I do. Hi, everybody. I hope you had a nice week. The weather, right? Pouring today. I don't know where it is, wherever you are all over the world, right? Been belting with rain. Had a little bit of niceness yesterday, and I thought, I'll just go outside. No, didn't work out. It's nice to have a long weekend. It's the same for me. It's the same for Longie. He's been working. I've been working on my settlement, doing what we call a family visit for a funeral which I've got coming up in Bristol. Big month celebrancy this month. Big month. I got a funeral in Bristol. Yeah. I've got a baby celebration this coming weekend down in the country. It's all just known to me as the country because I don't know where I'm going. Thank God for Waze. That's what I say. And then I have got a wedding coming up in Essex. So it's the full circle of life, the whole circle of life. But I tell you something, when you do a family visit, and I go through a very comprehensive form, which I have to make sure I get it all right. And I come away and I think, I wonder what my kids would say about me. Know what I mean? Somebody's dad had passed away. So I'm talking to the grown-up children. And you think to yourself when you finish, yeah, he sounded lovely and everything that was important to him was family. And then I think, what my kids say to me? I dread to think. I absolutely dread to think. I hope it'll be all right. Stop it, Graham. What's the matter with you? Look at this. Where there's a will, there's a way. So that's very good. That's not a bad gag. Now, I don't know if he's with us or not. Is he with us? Give me a thumbs up if you're with. Well, no, he's not really. I'm going to introduce our guest, and then I'm going to bring on the king of New Malden. The king. In fact, I'm going to do it now. I hope he's got a stable connection. You know him. You've learnt to love him. Why? I don't know. Neil Long. Is he there? Nothing happening. Whoa. Nothing happening at all. That's weird. Right, he's gone. Now, our guest today is a particular treat. I'm allowed to say that I don't care. It's a particular treat for the ladies. He's talented and he is far too bloody handsome. And that gets on my nerves. Wait till you hear what he does. Ladies and gentlemen. What's happening? Ladies and gentlemen, Nicholas Daines is in the house.
Hey.
Hello. When I say the house, probably the kitchen from what I'm looking at.
I'm guessing. The kitchen. Lots of wine in the back.
Do you know what? Isn't it shocking that my eyes were immediately drawn, not to your very nice cupboards, not to the coffee paraphernalia behind you, wine. Yes. Coming in from New York State. That's not New York, but New York State. Dr. Izadon Brown, and I love this, PhD, DNCCM, CCC, FAAETS. And I am Russ Kane, member of the Blockbusters Video Club. That's all I've got. I got nothing, baby. Hi, Aza. Now, is Neil with us? Let's try again.
Hello.
There he is. The man, the myth. Oh, and coming in from New York City itself. See, international show. Elizabeth Green. Hi, Les. Coming in from New York. So, welcome everybody. Bank Holiday Monday. Nicholas Daines, you handsome devil. Tell us all about. It's annoying. Look at this.
Can I apologise? Terrible first attempt at interviewing you, which I did. There was a comedy of errors that day, and I literally had to go and stand in the corner and think about what I'd done. I'm so sorry. Welcome back.
Neil, could you come out of the corner now because people want to use that corner?
Okay.
It's a busy corner. You can't just...
You handled it very...
Nicholas was perfectly understanding. His agent, not quite so much. It's going to cost me lunch. Anywho, hi, Julia. So, Nicholas, stuntman, actor, general brainbox. Tell us about yourself.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm all those things. I was an international gymnast for Team GB, went to World Championships 2003, and then I became a stuntman and went off to Hollywood and have performed in a number of blockbusters that you will all know, like the Harry Potters, Star Wars, Mission Impossible, Jurassic World,
Nothing big.
and
Nothing big then.
nothing
Nothing
big.
big. Tell me, Nicholas, when you were an international gymnast, is that where you first met Neil?
No.
Oh,
Funny guy.
are you Neil? Are you saying that you did not? The story that you've told me for the last 30 years that you represented the UK at international gymnastic level is a fibby?
No, I said I was playing at the bars. You misunderstood.
Oh, I misunderstood. It's easily done. Right. Tell us. Let's go through. Let's dice and slice it because tell us about being a gymnast and how that came about.
Okay, well, it was actually my sister. She was a gymnast, and she used to go to a gymnastics club, and she would then teach me everything she'd learnt at her lessons back at home on the landing or in the garden. And she was actually quite a good coach, and I was a natural for what she was teaching me. And then she took me along to her club, and her coaches were all quite excited and like, wow, he's really got an aptitude for this, so let's get him into a club. And that's where it all started. I got into a club, and it just went from strength to strength, and I'm still doing it today. Even
Can I ask
today,
a
I'm still
question?
going.
I got to ask a question, Nicholas. Right? I get doing gymnastics in the garden. Okay, I'm struggling with doing it on the landing by stairs.
Yeah, well,
What?
I
Did
guess
she
I've
not
always
like
been
you? She didn't like you, your sister. She had insurance policy on you. What?
maybe, but I was always, I guess, those things just didn't occur to us back then. I mean, like you could have hurt yourself in the garden. I mean, on a hard ground, like you say, on the landing upstairs where there are stairs, you could have fallen
Yeah,
down or through
yeah.
the balustrades. But
We
no, it just didn't occur to me at all. It was just a lot of fun.
It's like I remember the parks that I go to as a kid, and looking back, some of the children's park rides really dangerous, really
Yeah,
dangerous.
that was the whole point. It was
I
great.
didn't think about it.
My next door neighbour, right, Lawrence Gassman was his name. He was my best pal when I was growing up as a kid. He lived next door. And his mum and dad, they got him what was called in those days an apparatus, a climbing frame. And when you're a little kid, it's like the size of the Eiffel Tower, right? And we would have just spent hours, Lawrence and I, on this climbing frame. It was the most fantastic fun. Of course, now, I suppose, health and safety, you wouldn't be allowed to do it. We did the most dreadful, dangerous, stupid things on this climbing frame in the garden in Southgate, which is a place in North London. I loved it. Some of my happiest times,
Yeah, I did crazy things too. I loved the gym and gymnastics so much that I wanted all the equipment that we had at the gym
Yeah.
at home, but obviously, that was just not possible. But my dad did make me a high bar or a low bar, as it
Yeah.
was. But
Yeah.
to me, it was high back then but I'm still short. It was made out of scaffolding poles, and again, that was kind of crazy. I was doing
What could
long
possibly
swings.
go wrong?
Yeah, he just cemented it in the ground, and eventually it had such movement in it anyway, it became unsafe. But I mean, I was doing long swings around that. I was doing dismounts, and yes, looking back, it was crazy and very dangerous. But I loved it.
What, he just shoved the poles in the ground?
Yeah, just shoved it in the ground, put cement around it, but that didn't hold.
No, of course not. Why
soil.
bother?
My daughter does and I offered to make her a perfectly good home pole out of a scaffolding pole, and she refused. Honestly, kids are so
Kids.
So
You know,
entitled today. I had a high bar made of scaffolding poles.
even though you may not have known it at the time, when you're doing all your gymnastic stuff, that's a real natural evolution into being a stuntman with the agility and stuff.
Yeah.
Was it always that dream?
It is. And I guess I didn't know it then, but I do believe in that, in fate and destiny and all that, because I always wanted to be in the movies and on TV. And as a kid, even though I'd started my gymnastic journey, I remember there were some big influences. There was a girl at school who was in a Bachelor's Soup commercial, And I was just in awe of the fact that she was at school with us, but
Yeah.
also in our living rooms every night, and you could see
Freaky,
her.
isn't it?
Yeah, and it was just, I think that was one of my earliest memories of the intrigue and excitement about the television and the movies, and also around that era I was watching Dallas and Dynasty and the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, and I think those were my big powerful influences that then led me on this journey into the entertainment business. But once I got in, you're absolutely right. I mean, being a gymnast with great spatial awareness, focus, discipline, it put me in great stead to then, carve out a career as
Now,
a stuntman.
being
Was
as
it any,
athletic, I was just going to ask this. Hang on. Being as athletic as Neil and I are, we are supple, we are fit beyond. If you believe any of this crap, you're mad. Anyway, what I understand is I think you have to be born with this because I have no, in all seriousness, I have no sense of balance. Not a joke. I have no sense of balance at all. Yeah, obviously I can ride a bicycle and everything like that, but I can't change a light bulb. I stand on a chair. It's horrendous. It's pathetic. What do you think it is? The differentiate. I'm not going to speak on behalf of Neil, who is a magnificent specimen.
I really, I really don't know. I guess I was a natural and I was born with it. I mean, my family, my mother was a netball player, so she was sporty. My father was always very athletic. He did parachuting and
Wow.
he was in the military and RAF. So I think, yeah, and you hand it down. The genes of the next generation. So my
Daines
sister
and
was
got
a
both those?
gymnast.
It'd be quite a natural progression into that, isn't it? Lovely comment from Dr.
Yeah.
Brown. Nicholas, my eldest daughter, was an active and competitive gymnast from age 2.5 to 19. All three of my experienced the life of gymnastics. I love the experience. It is a wonderful thing to watch your children really succeeding at something. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
And that's wonderful that they were all involved. I think sport gives kids so much, and there is a correlation between academic achievement and sport. So I mean, it's a great basis, with that focus and discipline. I know it helped me a lot.
There's been studies on various schools, people are looking into this stuff, like problems within education, and it's back to the basics again. I think one teacher just took them out for a run every day, and hey presto, their academic skills went up as well. So it's
is that right?
Without a doubt, there was a definite.
Wow.
Nicholas is absolutely right. If I would say,
I know it helped me, and I think that's why I did so well at university. It was literally that focus and discipline that really was the catalyst to.
And I think focus and discipline.
I can't do any sport. I can't do any sport. Well, the trouble is, when you're ridiculed, I was sent off to boarding school and I was rubbish at it all and ridiculed. And this is the only bit I'm going to be serious about, Nicholas, is that, it was a joke. And then I went to live in America. And this sounds weird, you had, for business purposes, to learn to play tennis. Because people say, come play tennis, they come around to the house and play tennis and all this sort of stuff. It was an important social thing. And I thought, oh, Christ, I can't play that. Anyway, I went off to learn and I could, but I'd been told I was garbage at it all. But in fact, it was okay. I don't play it now. But it's interesting, if you're encouraged, like you clearly were, you can achieve things. And if you're mocked, you talk yourself, and Neil will have tons to say about this. You talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, I mean, my parents were always very encouraging. I mean, you had to be, and especially with a sport like gymnastics back then, you didn't have any money in it, so it was literally all about your parents taking you to competitions, making sure you got to the training, kept up your training, and sometimes the clubs were long distances away. So, I did have a good support systems, and it is incredibly important for success in any sport because you have to give 110%. But as a kid, that's really hard to do without the support of your parents. So I really thank mine for that.
It makes it an awful lot easier because I've found the things that I've really excelled at in life are things that I love doing, and then focus and discipline aren't like dirty words or heavy words. I want to focus. You wouldn't tear me away from it, and the discipline just comes naturally because of the focus. If you love doing it, that's such a key. We always talk on the show about doing what you love and doing what you're passionate about, and how things unfold into other things. You're a perfect example, really.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just follow my heart, but I understand what you're saying completely, because it's not a chore. Going to the gym. Going to the gym and lifting weights and doing all that mirror aerobics and strength stuff. I mean, that to me is a chore. Weightlifting, doing the weights, but the gymnastics is what it makes sense to me. It's what it has an outcome. It has a purpose. It's not just for vanity or anything like that. It's really has this purpose that it still inspires me today, and I keep going, and it's not a chore because I still enjoy it. And I think that's why I've kept so relatively young and fit, just because
annoying actually, Nicholas. It's quite bloody irritating. Here's the thing I wanted to ask, because I have no spatial awareness. I do when I'm driving. I'm pretty good at that, but anything physical, useless. You're able, I think that I'm being deadly serious. I think that your brain, the wiring that you have, yourself and fellow gymnasts and stuntmen, is completely different to say what Neil and I have, because you mentioned a lot that you have good spatial awareness and you're aware. I would just think, I'm falling through space, I'm going to die. You're thinking, I can do this, that, and the other. And I don't understand how our brains, I mean, your and mine, but one's brains are so wired differently.
Well, I think it's developed. It might be initially you might have a natural ability to do things, but things like spatial awareness is developed through the sporting aspect. Because even now, if I don't go to gymnastics and I've stopped doing the tumbling or the trampoline or the high diving, I do lose it. It's something you have to hone into again. So it's not just there and it will remain there forever. If I haven't done it for a while, then I need to tune back into it. So it was definitely, yes, I still have it. It's something that was natural but I still have to work at it at the same time. You can't always just, I can just do it and remember to do it.
And then, but hone the craft. They say 10,000 hours, don't they, for mastery of a craft? And you are certainly master of your art. It's, I suppose the 4 stages of learning we're taught: a student, apprentice, journeyman or woman, and master. And you're clearly at the mastery stage. But we all journey through those stages. And your report when we're journeying through in anything is really important. Plus, there's neuroplasticity as well. So the more we do something and the more feedback we get, then the more we can, that worked, that didn't, and we can kind of and you're right, it is always there, but it comes back relatively quickly. But if I haven't done something for a while, I might need to brush up on it.
Yeah, definitely. I have to. If I did a commercial doing a cliff dive, and because of COVID, I hadn't been on a board for 16 months. So I then took myself down to Cornwall to jump off some quarry cliffs, just to start.
Oh, who hasn't done that? Come on,
just to start getting it back.
That's a big deal. I'm sorry. Do you understand what you just said to somebody like me and Neil? I took myself off to Cornwall to dive off some quarry cliffs.
Came back, cooked dinner.
Yes, I guess it is. But it's I'm also thinking, oh God, I don't really want to do. It's quite terrifying at the same time. It's not all just like, it's so easy. So
no,
I got up on the quarry cliffs and I under rotated one and winded myself badly, and then I over rotated another, and it was like,
I have no idea what you're saying. What? You lost me at quarry cliffs. I'm already terrified.
My point was just about to get the spatial awareness back. I hadn't been on a board for 16 months, and it had deserted me. It came back quickly, but it was just a reminder that you can't take these things for granted.
I've got to stop you, Nicholas. Right? I'm sorry. You're standing on the edge of a quarry cliff. Already, I'm looking for the nearest dry cleaners in my case, right? How high is this thing?
Well, that was my the training that I put myself, because the boards still weren't really open, you know, with clubs and things. Once we did go back to the entertainment business, when that was open, so I was trying to find different quarry cliffs of different heights, because I had to get up to 18 meters, and so I just started on one that was about 9 or 10, and yeah, even that was just disastrous at first.
There is, I presume, water in these quarries. I mean, you're not
There is,
diving
yes,
onto
it
old
was into
cars or
water.
something, are you?
No, it was into water.
Is there a minimum height that you have to be? For example, there's a minimum height you have to be for your parachute to open on time. Is it a similar thing with quarry diving? Does it have to be a certain height to get momentum on a board or something? How does it work?
No, just I mean, literally, I was just doing steps to work to get to the height that I needed to, and I had to find these different quarry cliffs in different parts that took me eventually to that height. But you know, you can dive from any height. It's how you orientate your body and time it in that time and space to be able to land it. Land it properly and on your feet, because I mean, if you over rotate or you land flat on water from 18 meters, you're going to be in trouble. I mean, that is dangerous stuff. Like these cliffball divers, it's feet first entries from that height, because if you went on your head, you know, it'd be lethal. But you just can't mess around at that height, because it's like hitting concrete into water.
What does it feel like?
So high.
What is it? I've never been able to ask any of these questions to anybody. What does it feel like when you hit the water? Because you're going at a hell of a speed. You're coming from a hell of a height. You've got kinetic energy powering you down. Does it hurt?
You feel a slap, obviously, on your feet, and it can be pretty powerful. But you punch the water, so you break that surface tension, and as you go in, point your feet, break that, and it's not so bad, but it can be a bit of a slap.
Can I ask a stupid, really dumb question? But you know, that's why I'm here. Does the water go? That's a big serious, right? Go rushing up your nose, because I couldn't do that.
It can do.
Yeah,
but
I'd have to be like this and hope for the best.
I tend to breathe out as I hit the water, but it does, yes, it does go up your nose sometimes. That's for sure.
Jeez. Right. So let's see how you then graduated from gymnastics on the landing with your sister. What could possibly go wrong? I didn't know the stairs were there. To ending up in Hollywood.
Well, then I always kept up my gymnastics, and I went off to university, and I did go down the academic route, because, you know, at that time in my life, I wasn't really aware that you could ever make your career from sport or being physical, you know, after the competitive arena had finished. So I did the academic route, and then when I finished that, I like I mentioned earlier, I had those early childhood memories of the glitz and glamour of Hollywood with Dallas and Dynasty, and then that girl at school who's in the Bachelor Soup commercial. So there was those kind of dreams of being in movies and TV. They were there. They had been born early. And then after I finished university, obviously got the first class honors, and
of course. I mean, naturally. Cool.
Couldn't get a job.
How much, Neil, how much do you hate this guy?
Loads. Was it a difficult journey in Hollywood at first?
Yes, it was. So I finished, couldn't get a job. Eventually I got a job in the UK, but it was so mind-numbingly boring that those dreams I had in my head took over, and I packed my bags and went to Hollywood. And like you were just saying, that journey I thought was going to be this incredible transition into film and TV, and your career goes through the sky rockets. But no, it was really a very difficult experience. It's a very hard place. And of course, I wasn't even legal. So, you know, I don't know what I thought I was going to achieve that first time around. And it was a really difficult journey, but it's still, again, like I just trusted in somehow the process of what I wanted to do in life. And somehow it showed me that I was on the right path. And eventually I did, obviously, I came back to the UK, got into the business, then into stunts, and then was able to create a case for my green card of being the best at what you do, and then went off to Hollywood then. So it all came true eventually, but it was a very difficult road. And even once I was working there, it was really, really tough.
We talked including yourself, very successful people on this show, and I always like to break down the principles, and we've got focus, discipline, but loving what you do, and determination as well. They're all key factors. But I love the way somehow you felt you're on the right path, because that is, if you're pardon the pun, given what you do, it's a leap of faith. It really is, because most people would probably play safe and probably stay with the boring job as a means to an end, because I've got to earn money, and the dreams was. But the other side of that is those dreams aren't manifest yet, and you have to walk towards something that isn't in physical existence yet. And that's a challenge for a lot of people. So it's a fascinating conversation. And look, it works.
Well, it's definitely, yes, I could definitely turn around and say, yeah, those dreams have come true. But yes, it's exactly the way you put it. You know, you've got those dreams, but you're literally walking blindly into something until you make it happen. Putting all those little pieces.
Might have been Martin Luther King, so you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step.
Oh, I like that. I must remember that one.
Longie, who said that?
I think it was Martin Luther King, but don't quote me on it. He said you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first.
I think it was Nicholas's sister who said that.
I'm writing that one down for sure, because you know, no matter what happens in life, and I have achieved some really nice things for myself in terms of the things I wanted to do and I set out to do. So it's been great to be able to a greater or lesser extent say, yes, I've done it. But I still have other dreams to come to fruition, and I make new ones and push on. So I'll use that one, because even now, again, you take a different direction and have different and new ambitions and dreams, but you don't know you're going to get there. So I have to apply that same philosophy.
I recommend the new Paul McKenna book called Success for Life, by the way, because he's broken down these principles. This is half where I'm getting this from, and I recommend that. I want to buy that for all my friends and people that I care about. It's a really good book.
So saying, of course, my copy hasn't arrived, Neil.
I'm sorry about that, Russ. I don't know where you live.
Yeah. You don't know where I live, and I'm not your friend. Anyway, so by the way, Nicholas, you wouldn't know, but both Neil and I worked with Paul McKenna for years, so he's kind of a mate. And where you go, you've done all right, Paul. It's worked out pretty good. What was the first stunt you ever did?
My first stunt was on London's Burning.
Oh, yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And gosh, I shouldn't even say this, but we're going back a bit now when I did my first stunt, and I was actually doubling a black guy, and they blacked up my face, which would never happen today.
I think it was going well until you started singing Camptown Races, and then I think it went slightly wrong. But up to that point, it was going great.
So yes, they did, and that was my first job.
Wow. Wow.
London's Burning, but it was a great experience. And then the second one.
What did you have to do?
For that one, I think it was there was a small explosion and some smoke. So it was just being in a smoke-filled room, really. But the second one was a bit more exciting. That was
like hanging out with Neil. Hanging out with me on a Saturday morning with cigars. Same thing.
But the second one was a little bit more exciting. That was Casualty, and that was falling down a cliff face and then getting airlifted to rescue by a Sea King helicopter.
Falling down a cliff face.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my head around that. I don't even know where to start. I tripped over in the street, broke my finger. It completely buggered my life up. Still has. I can't imagine falling down a cliff face and then a Sea King helicopter, which is huge, lifting you up. That's scary. That's great. Scary.
Those were my first jobs. So
wow.
But now, it's different. Back then, you didn't get that many jobs because the industry isn't like it is today. I mean, it's gone through a huge change with incentives, tax incentives, and filming being done here. So initially, you just got a few days a year, but now you become a stunt performer and you're working on big movies straight away.
Wow.
What did you do on Mission Impossible? I'm such a geek with these things.
We were driving stunts we were in Morocco. and that was very nice. Just as you know, Tom Cruise is weaving in and out of the cars on motorbikes, so we have to keep the right distance and constant speed. So you know, you have to have trained professionals. It's funny because you just think that, you know, they're ordinary cars, but you've got stunt people in all of the vehicles who are around the action, just to, you know, to make sure that everything is thought about. Everybody's got the right skills to keep everyone safe and keep him safe by keeping the right speeds, keeping the right distances, and all
How
those
do you
things are
get
really
that
important.
qualification though? Because he does a lot of his own stunts and running on motorbikes, etc. So you've all got to be absolutely on point.
Well, to join the British Stunt Register in this country, the BSR as we call it, that you have to do 6 disciplines to a certain level, and you choose those disciplines from various categories. So you've got work with vehicles, and we have a stunt test in that area. So, you know, once you even join the register, you have an aptitude for precision driving and stunt driving. So there's a lot of training that goes into it before you even set foot on set.
Yeah. Good question coming in. Thanks, Longie. It's from Graham Pack. Oh, you read it out, Neil, if you would be so kind.
Work increase with the influx of streaming services like Netflix, Amazon, Apple TV, etc. I would imagine yes, but what do you say?
Definitely yes. We've had a lot more work with these productions coming into this country. So yes, it's been great for us, and a real turnaround for, like I say, for the country. You only got a few days a year, and you weren't working on big movies or projects straight away. You had to really work your way up and earn your stripes, and people to know who you were in the business and what you could do. But today it's a different story, and these shows have really helped with youngsters coming in and starting working and making good money straight away.
Good. When you were on before, you were talking really passionately about your environmental concerns and care for the environment, and I'd love you to talk about that a little bit more, if you would today, because I think we've all quite a lot to learn from you. I was quite humbled by what you were saying, so would you share a bit of that with us?
Yeah, well, definitely. You know, my background is in science. I did microbiology, as I said, at university, and I've always had a keen interest in the natural world and passionate about wildlife. And so, I've always been one to diversify within the entertainment industry, and presenting was something that really appealed to me because I wanted to give back. And so wildlife and science, it's great how it's come full circle. And with this passion that I have, and as we all know, I sort of follow my heart, and I believe that this is what I should be doing to really sort of make a difference and give back. I created a show called Destination Conservation, which I've been busy filming, and we've been in Borneo, and I've been working with kids, which is basically the next generation, who hopefully, by giving them the right tools that they need and understanding the problems that these animals in danger are facing on the ground, they'll be able to clear up the mess we've made. Because I really feel we are failing the next generation with regards to this, because we're just not arming them with the right tools. If they can't tell the difference between a leopard and a cheetah, then what's the point? Because they can't, if they don't know what it is, then how can they save it? And I think we're really failing in that way. So this is what the whole show and premise is about.
Education, presumably, and to make it accessible to them as well, because there's a million messages where people kind of preach, you should do this, you should do that, climate change, and they're all, but none of those are particularly engaging or would engage the passion of someone. But get them on board with, you know, with the passion about it, like we talked about earlier, enjoying it. That's going to make a massive difference. The problem I have with things like this is it seems such an overwhelmingly gargantuan task, and I bet a load of people, what can one person do? And I know that's a defeated attitude, so I'd be interested in your response to that. What can one person?
Well, we can all, you know, you can, even on a very small scale, I think we need 250 million people doing things imperfectly rather than 10 people doing it perfectly. And I think that for me is what really matters. And we can all do our bit. You know, I'm out there trying to educate, use my voice in the best way I know how to to make a difference somewhere and give back with all the things that I have, that make the best of what I've got to do that. But we can, things like conserving water, saving electricity, shop sustainably, with labels on food. If you're concerned about palm oil, where they're cutting down virgin rainforests to make way for palm oil plantations, which are fragmenting habitats, or pygmy elephants and orangutans, look for sustainable palm oil, shop organically, and not waste. Don't use single-use
The only
plastic.
thing
There's
is,
so many things.
Nicholas, I'm not raining on your parade. I wouldn't do that. No, I'm serious. I'm not. I cleaned that one up. But it's easy to say. I don't mean you, but we are preached at that you do this and do vegan and do organic. They shove the prices of these items through the freaking roof.
Yeah.
And when everybody, and I mean everybody, is struggling to put food on the table, keep the roof over their head, in a world that's quite frankly gone raving bloody mad, it's sometimes, you're in Lidl or Aldi, that's where I go. I don't go to Waitrose or any of that nonsense. I go to Lidl or Aldi. You look at the prices and you go, yeah, no, I just can't. It goes back on the shelf.
Yeah, well, I totally understand that, and I'm not saying that you have to. I think half the battle is awareness, and the fact that you can then enter into that dialogue, and you're just not, you're aware of it, so you can then inform others. You can talk about it, and you then are maybe able to inform other people's life choices, just because they're not even aware of it. But the fact that you can't do it, but you've made someone else aware of it that can, it has all these knock-on effects. And yes, I know what you're saying, and sometimes it's just not practical, but it could be just volunteering. I mean, things like that, where you are able to give back a bit. We can all do something, and I think plant a tree. There's so many things that we can do, but we just throw our hands up in the air and say, "Oh, I can't afford it." But I think,
well, it does seem, Longie summed it up really, because you think, oh, geez, this is like overwhelming. Let me ask you this, and it's just popped into my head. When I lived in America for a few years, right, we didn't have everything in plastic. You'd pick the stuff that you wanted, put it in a paper bag, take the paper home, right? Why is everything wrapped up in? I mean, I'm with you on this. We don't need it. You don't need everything wrapped in plastic. It's complete nonsense. You could take it off a shelf and it goes in a paper bag. Why have we gone backwards with that?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. The single-use plastics is terrible for the planet, and we really it's
stupid as well.
But we've sort of, we're trying to undo these things. So again, just by people voicing their concerns, manufacturers are going to take notice, and hopefully we can change things for
the only way. You know what? With all of this, what do they say? Follow the money. And the only way manufacturers and big corporations take any concern of you, me, Neil, our listeners and viewers all over the world is you hit them where it only place that they care about, which is their bottom line. If you're not hitting them in the bottom line by taking away your business, they couldn't give a monkey's. And that is the problem. When I was a kid growing up, you go to the greengrocers. Every high street had, greengrocers and butchers and candlestick makers. I mean, you know what I'm saying. And they'd get the fruit, and I'll have some apples. Here's some apples, Sonny, and you put them in a paper bag and twirl the paper bag around, and that was it. We didn't have 20 tons of packaging, all of which you have to throw away because you don't want to keep it in. It's gone backwards.
And when you think about it, it's so silly not taking care of our environment, because if we have no environment, we're screwed. End of. We're off our nose to spite our face. And when you think about it that way, it just seems to me absolutely ridiculous. Why wouldn't anyone? I like to say this: we're a part of nature, not apart from nature. And if people
like to think so,
absolutely,
then you would treat it as an extension of yourself, and presumably, hopefully, well.
And that was, very, I love the way you put that. And even when you put that in terms of animals itself, like something like the orangutan being an umbrella species, literally, for all the other animals in the rainforest. Because if you save, because there are species that feed on 400 different types of leaves and plants all over the rainforest, and wide-ranging creatures. So if you look after their needs, you are then protecting all the animals, and and by looking after the rainforest and the climate regulating processes that they provide, if you're looking after that, then you're looking after all the animals. So I like the way you put that.
I think it could be summed up if human beings would just stop messing with it. The system, as it's created, set up, is perfect. Were we to leave it alone,
it would be. It would be.
Take care of the orangutan. That extends to that. That extends to that. But human beings can't try and control and manipulate it, and that's the problem. It's us.
It's always been us, but we're a blip. I think we'll be gone. More and more I think about it, I think we were a terrible, terrible mistake. I genuinely think we are a terrible mistake. We are a blip. If you'd have gone to dinosaurs,
that's not either.
That's what? Say it again.
That's not helpful either. Thinking that we're a terrible mistake and a terrible species isn't going to help.
I'm not saying it's helpful. I do think we are a terrible species, and I think that we shouldn't have been here in the first place. That's my view. I think our contribution has been bugger all, really, in the great scheme of life. What annoys me, Nicholas, I don't mean about you at all. What annoys me about the strident, I'm thinking about that professional idiot Greta Thunberg, for example, which comes over to Britain, screams and shouts, doesn't go to China, scream and shout, where their pollution levels are through the roof, doesn't go to India, scream and shout. No, should come like to London and make a bloody nuisance of herself. And it's like, come on, look at the people doing the huge damage. And this is my argument. This is what really, we're doing our best. We separate our stuff. We do our recycling like good little model citizens. I'm really fanatical about it. And then you look at what's going on in China and India and Pakistan and huge amounts of pollution and everything like that. You go, well, me putting up a little bag, what difference is that going to make? I know you've got to lead by example, but they don't care. They don't care. We care. You care. They don't care.
Well, it's good though. I mean, at least we're not, if you take yourself away from the table, you can't change anything. So at least, as far as Greta Thunberg is concerned, it's wonderful that she's using a voice to empower the next generation, or at least, again, start that dialogue and get people thinking and trying to make different life choices. I mean, whether you think she's causing a problem or not, I mean, it's amazing how she's highlighted such causes. And
yeah, but she's a marionette. I'm sorry, I loathe her. I absolutely loathe
almost
her.
A necessary part of the process.
Who's paying for her?
Well,
who's pulling her strings? Who's paying for her? Seriously, a campaign. You understand PR. I understand PR. It's been my lifeblood for years, right? I understand marketing. It costs a fortune. Who's been shelling out for her year after year? Because it doesn't come from her mum and dad, and it certainly doesn't come from her. She's never had a job. So I'm just really curious who pays for her. And
when you find out, let me know. I don't know.
I know, and her views on the Middle East are really insane. Just an idiot. Anyway, there we are. I agree. What were you doing in Borneo?
Yes, so Borneo, we were working with pygmy elephants, which is a subspecies of Asian elephant. Yeah, slightly smaller, and they're very cute. And orangutans and sun bears, all endemic.
What was the last one?
Borneo.
What was the last one? Sorry.
Sun bears.
Sun bears.
Yes.
What are they?
They're the smallest bear in the world, and they again are endemic to Borneo, and they have a beautiful little collar on them, which is unique to each individual. It's like a fingerprint with their pattern that they have on their chest.
Sun bears.
Yeah, and
Neil, have you ever heard of sun bears?
No, I'm going to Google it.
Heard of them. They sound adorable. Like I say that.
Yeah, but it's incredible. All the problems are the same. It's the same thing: fragmentation, land habitat destruction, And unfortunately, these animals have nowhere to go because with the fragmentation and the palm oil being planted, they'll wander onto palm oil plantations, and then villagers end up taking the law into their own hands because they
Oh
can.
God, don't say any more of it. I can't bet. Oh, because you
It's
know,
really
anyone who knows me knows I prefer animals to people a million times.
definitely.
They're much nicer and they're much more loyal, and they love unconditionally, and that's all. You're never going to find that. I was watching David Attenborough last night, and this fragmentation, and he did a whole section that was in Costa Rica, where these monkeys would use the high branches, and now there's roads going through because people have turned up wherever the hell this is, and of course they were getting electrocuted because they were using the wires thinking they were branches or whatever that's. And then somebody came up with such a wonderful little thought of just building little bridges, little rope bridges that takes them away from the wires and keeps them safe so they can move to the next part of the jungle and forest. I thought that was fantastic, simple and beautiful and effective.
Yeah, very effective, and
beautiful.
you know, that's if they can't get across, then you're going to reduce genetic diversity within species, which is very important. So yeah, it's simple ways that you can try and bridge the gap, as it were.
Yeah, with Cadbury Snack.
Yeah.
There was a lovely point he made. You know, when you're not in the area of expertise, you wouldn't know. They said if an alpha male is electrocuted, and you go, well, that's a shame, it's horrible, right? What happens is a new alpha male comes, and the first thing they do is they kill everything else because it's not their family.
Very true.
Infanticide,
and
that's not good. So it's not just one that's killed through being electrocuted. It's like a whole, what do you call them? Pack, tribe? I don't know. Troop, that's the word. It's a whole troop. And so the knock-on effect is enormous.
Yeah, it can be, but that's nature. And you know, survival of the fittest, and putting his genes into, you know, the next generation. And sometimes that happens in a lot of species. Lions, there's a lot of infanticide. They will kill the cubs of other lions if they take over a pride. So there's, you know, nature can be cruel, but necessary.
Humans feel they're threatened. They can do terrible things as well. I'm thinking,
absolutely.
You know, I'm thinking of, I've seen the documentaries, and I don't know what came into my head, but the people that produce cocaine, and it's almost like they're forced into it. It's the only way because of what other people have done. They've got of surviving. I mean, do I condone making cocaine? No, but it's understandable because it's just an act of desperation.
Well, it's an act of making a fortune and money beyond the wildest dreams of Croesus. To be honest, is what it is.
That comes much further down the line, according to this documentary. No, they're just. No, they're
what's it like in Borneo? I've no idea. I couldn't imagine what's it like.
Hot, hot, and humid, and but just beautiful at the same time, and with so many incredible creatures that inhabit our planet. I mean, it is a wonderful place, and you know, loads of turtles in the sea, great, wonderful marine life. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but it's got so many problems, and especially with the animals and man's impact on them. So it's a good case study. That's the thing.
Well, Dave Sleet, who we have huge time for, has been a huge supporter of ours. Borneo is a phenomenal insight into the impact of human greed.
Absolutely. And worldwide greed, because, you know, these places are only, you know, the locals on the ground are just trying to make the money. Like you say, with the cocaine, they're just trying to make the money, and that's what they have to do to fuel the world's demand for palm oil. So, you know,
can I ask you a question?
We're all fueling it. You can't blame one place. It's worldwide demand.
We're all horrible. What's the big deal with palm oil? I don't understand.
It's just in everything, and it's very cheap. And
that's why.
Palm oil,
so it's a cheap thing to produce, is it?
And it can have many harvests in short spaces of time. So it's such a prolific plant tree that you can and you can use their kernels time and time again, and it just produces more. So the demand it can keep up with, and then some.
I see.
But it's totally on the environment, of course.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the biodiversity you're destroying, And
That's the thing.
again,
What should we be you see, this is something I'm really happy to do. It's a little tiny step by one person, but like say, right, I'm not going to use palm oil. What do I have to use instead, and what should I avoid?
well, like I say, I don't think we should take ourselves away from the table and just boycott, because by doing that, you can't change anything. But what we should be doing is demanding sustainability. So when you're shopping, look for sustainable palm oil. So just reusing already logged land and not chopping down virgin rainforest that we'll never get back. So by using these sustainable palm oil plantations, which are just grown over and over again on the same land without cutting down any more forest.
No, I got it.
But that
Right.
sounds obvious. Why if you have that, why would
Because the best things always are obvious. That is why it's only down to
It's obvious, but the greed, more and more land, more and more plantations, more and more money. Especially if they're governmental.
Always quick-term fixes, isn't it, Nicholas? It's like quick-term fixes. Get the quick buck in. That's never long-term thinking.
No, very short-sighted.
They don't care. They just don't care about the planet. That's right.
earlier
This is only depressing. This is depressing me. I'm changing it, right? Because I get so angry. What is next for Nicholas Daines, stuntman and actor?
Well, I've just finished on Wicked.
Oh, brilliant!
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that was a great 2 movies to be part of.
It is part 1 and part 2. I happen to know by pure chance the stand-in for Ariana Grande.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's a very nice girl.
Yes.
Very, very sweet. Molly is her name.
Yes, I met her many times on set.
You met Molly? Well, she's a sweetheart.
Yes, very much.
She's delightful. I thought she was joking. I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Oh, I'm the Ariana Grande stand-in." I went, "What?" Okay.
Yeah, no, she was very disciplined, as she was, and so a lot of it is just a lot of standing around and waiting around, but she was incredibly, dedicated to her role, and couldn't have done without her. She was great. But it was wonderful.
Is this a small world, or if this is? I mean, Nicholas and I have never met. What a ridiculously small world, right? So you've just finished that, and that is 2 movies, as you said, isn't it? It's part 1. And
yes,
part
I think
2,
the first part 1's out in at Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So that's that. I mean, I'm just pushing the wildlife stuff. Hopefully to take it to a bigger platform with destination conservation and really get someone on board.
Is it watchable yet, or is it still in production?
Well, I'm still in the production side of things and pitching it to networks and finding a home for it that we can then develop more episodes. Because I created a mini series, but I'd really like to make that a full season so that we can really take that to a bigger platform, reach more people, and hopefully make it a regular series.
Look at this. This is so interesting. This endorses, Nicholas, everything that you've been saying. Neil, would you? Oh, come on, Russell.
Yeah.
Would you like to read that out?
Beans would broadcast the scene as the Borneo rainforest producing, I think that's meant to be clouds.
Clouds,
as they breathe the oxygen we all need. If people saw what it meant to be the lungs of the planet, maybe they'd appreciate the need to protect them. But this is the thing. We all think we're separate from nature. It's over there. It's nothing to do with us. But actually, it belongs to every one of us in a small way. And I love what you say about 10 million people doing things imperfectly than 10 people doing it all, because no one could be one of those 10. But we can all do things perfectly. And I think it is good to be aware of these things. I really do.
Yeah, and I think conservation ultimately is everybody's problem. You get all these NGOs and charities saying, "Oh, you give us your money and we'll sort it out," which, of course, that is an impossibility. But if we all work together and we all make it everybody's problem and we all help in some way, then I think that that's the best way forward, rather than just leaving it up to those. Because again, if you don't, you just hand your money over, but you don't educate.
You don't know where it goes.
Learn about it.
You don't know where it goes. That's why I'm very, very cautious about these things, because how much of the money you're donating is going to the CEO's ridiculous salary, stupid huge offices, overstaffing, ludicrous advertising campaigns and stuff. And you think, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for that. I wanted it to achieve I don't know, saving an elephant somewhere, or saving a time. There was one really good point that well, David Attenborough is, if he doesn't get a state funeral when he finally goes, there's no justice. But he said the Bengal tiger population, I was thinking, oh, here we go, has doubled in the last few years. And I went, wow, finally something positive coming out of this, instead of it's all doom and gloom. I thought that was great. Obviously not if I was walking through the jungle, came across a tiger, I wouldn't be thrilled.
No, it's great. There are some positive, and there are some success stories. So yeah, we should celebrate them.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to say that, and it was like, great. Nicholas Daines, you all round egghead, you. That's what I'm saying. A brain box. You're inspirational. I think you are inspirational, and a very nice fellow as well. How quite irritating that you managed to combine it all. Just saying that. Lucky he didn't hear that. Nicholas, we wish you well. You're welcome back any time. If you've got any new initiatives and stuff like that, you know how to get hold of Neil and myself. And we will be happy to support you. Of course we would.
Get you back on when it launches. We'll certainly have you back on and give that a good old plug. So yeah, do keep in touch, and thank you for coming back on again today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And you can keep up with the behind the scenes on the movies at my YouTube channel. That's at Nicholas Daines, and then on Instagram, of course, at Nicholas Daines. The same. Keep up with the movies and the wildlife stuff with Destination Conservation.
And if you want to be freaked out, right, on Nicholas showreel, there is a section where he is set on fire head to toe, and I sat there watching it. I'm just thinking, oh my god, because there's stunt work, and then there's stunt work, and then there's Nicholas Daines. That's all I have to say. Watch the showreel; it's fantastic. Nicholas, take care. We will see you soon, I hope. All right, bye bye.
Thank you.
What a fellow, huh?
What a
fellow.
Very quickly, can I just talk about my...
I would be honoured and privileged if you would. Go on.
Wisdom, and that is her real name. She's a brilliantly spiritual lady, and she has discovered, apparently, this incredible new technology, and this is the way I'm going to frame it, because people will be thinking this. New age nonsense or an incredible breakthrough, all right?
Ooh.
About healing yourself with your own bioenergy, your own bioenergetic light. Because if you see a thought like in the brain, it's light. So we are, we have light inside us. We are beings of light. Luminous beings are we, said someone on a screen once. And it turns out that's true. Now, New Age or Modern Day Miracle, Wednesday, midday.
What was the name of your guest?
Anita Wisdom.
Anita Wisdom. No relation to Mr. Grimstyle. Had to be done. It had to be done, Neil. Had to be done.
I just opened the door and you walk through.
And I walk straight. You come up. It's really fascinating, because I'm so horribly cynical, but then a cynic is what a romantic calls a realist. And I think, I never know if this is complete nonsense or it's genius. But if you read, having an open mind, the important thing is having an open mind. That's
Tony Robbins' latest book, he's the American motivational guru. It's called Life.
Yeah.
Gone around the world looking for the latest leading edge. Now, some of this stuff we'd have seen in Star Trek in the 80s, and now it's become real. And this medically backed, it's science, and it's happening right now. So is this the next thing? Can we self-heal to degrees that we never thought we could? And if you don't believe we can, watch Darren Brown, Miracle, and he's a self-confessed fake.
God, yeah, I mean, totally.
But if the second half, it's on Netflix, of Miracle, Darren Brown, just the power of suggestion and our own minds. Watch it for yourself. You tell me.
We can talk ourselves into a good mood or a bad mood. You've got that choice. You've got, I struggle with that. I'm being very open, as I always am. There's nothing showbizy about this. I struggle with that, and you wake up, and you think, do I want a good day or a shitty day? Do I want to be in a positive mood or like everything is crap mood? And you've You got to work at it. Like our guest Nicholas Daines to become a stuntman and leap off a building without training and practice and everything else. You got to work at it. You got to work at it. Positive mental attitude is bloody everything.
Well, it is, and a way to access that is positive aspects. Quick example: positive aspects of today. Okay, I'm in a place of work. I'm in Radio Jackie. I've done another show with people that I like. I'm getting my skills. I am going to go and have a nice lunch. I've got a car. Positive aspects. There's positive thing, but again, we kind of get more of what we focus on. And that's science as well.
You know, one of the things you taught me, you taught me this, you did, annoys me, but anyway, you did. Gratitude. Now, I don't have I was going to buy a gratitude diet. I went into Waterstones and I thought, oh, Neil talks about gratitude. So I picked up the book. I thought, oh, this is bloody good. This is great. I looked at the price. I thought, I'm not that grateful. I put the book back on the shelf. Bloody crazy money. Stupid. Right. But what you have taught me, Neil Longie Long, is if you could start the day and think of 3 things that you're grateful for, it could be anything. It starts the day so much better. And I've tried. I am like the worst example of this, but I have tried because of you and because of some of the fantastic guests that we've had to wake up and think, right, come on, Russie, think of 3 things you're really grateful for before all the things that are shit. That not much you can do about, and I do. You know, I'm grateful for a lot of things, and that's down to you.
It doesn't matter what shitty things are going on the periphery; it's what you are focused on. And if you get more focused on, that goes for any of us, then it doesn't really. We'll get sidetracked by what's going on around us. And Elizabeth's right here. When she says what you resist persists. I think that was Jung that coined that idea. And the more you push against something, more you're using all your energy to push against something, when you could be doing the opposite, conserving energy and focusing on what.
No, you've lost me. And as we're slightly movable with our time, just briefly explain you. I don't understand. I've seen the quote. I've never understood it. What does it mean?
Okay. It's coined by Jung, I think. Right. Imagine there's something in your reality and your experience, but the only problem is me, and I hold my hand out and I'm pushing against you, and because you're resisting me, you're pushing back at me, and the more I do it, and you think if only that would go away, but it's your resistance to it that's keeping it there. If you just took your hand away and focused on something else, there's nothing for me to push against, therefore it won't persist. The more you fight against something, the more you give attention to what you don't want, the bigger that seems to get.
See. All right. More you give attention to what you don't want. All right. Okay. All right. I have to limit myself on Twitter. Because it's such a freaking cesspit of shit and hate. And then there's some fabulous, funny, witty, charming, life-affirming stuff that's beautiful on there.
It is. But it's where you look.
So you got to pick your way through. So I get that. All right, I get that.
And where does the power lie to choose? With other people or with you?
With me, sure. I know. I argue with myself about this a lot. Like, why am I putting myself in an absolute freakingly bad mood by looking at all these maniacs? Stop it. I'm not going to change their mind. They're nuts.
You're of more value to the world in the gratitude for your morning coffee than you are in the fighting against anything that might be going on in the world.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing I can do about it.
Exactly.
Nothing. I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to change them. You know, if you're a fanatic, you're a fanatic. That's the whole point of being a fanatic.
Problem is
somebody's mind.
That's the problem. The only person we can change is ourselves. It all begins with us. And if we've got the power of focus, let's focus on what we want so we get more of it. It's a win-win. You can't lose that way. The only way you lose is by trying to fight against what you don't want, because that just gets worse. Dave Sleet.
I like this from Dave Sleet. Go on, read that out, because we like Mr. Sleet.
Dave, I'll be really interested in your thoughts on the guest today and Asa Don Brown. I'd love to know your professional thoughts. Just to Psychological Hive is now due to be published. That's a fantastic achievement. Well done, Dave.
We are no, it's only fantastic because he's going to invite us to a huge swanky book launch somewhere really nice and expensive with only served Dom Perignon's champagne. I know, Dave Sleet, it's bound to happen. And Elizabeth Green says this from New York City: if you're in a bad mood, notice you're in a bad mood. Well, I don't have to notice. Everyone in the world notices if I'm in a bad mood. If you're in a bad mood, notice you're in a bad mood. Try it on for size and it'll fit.
That's exactly what I'm about. Rather than fight the bad mood, don't resist it, because the corollary of what you resist persists is what you allow will go.
So if you're in a bad mood, right, quickly, because people are having a bank holiday Monday, unless they're in America, because it's just Monday. What do? You're in a bad mood. I'm in a shitty mood. And Neil Long, what?
I'm going to give myself 5 minutes to be in a really shitty mood. I'm going to put on it. I'm not going to resist it. Feelings move through me, and it's only energy. It's only a mood, and then it will pass. But if you fight it, it'll get worse. And that's what she means. Following on from what she says, it's true.
And what you resist? Okay. Yeah.
But what?
Interesting.
True.
Neil, you're getting applause from New York City. Well, that's a great way to end the show, frankly. Neil Long getting applause all the way across the Atlantic Ocean.
I finally darlings.
Cracked America. Neil cracks America. Right. You heard Longie talking about his guest on Wednesday. Sounds like an absolute belter to me. Sounds great. You never know. At first, what seems like mumbo jumbo turns out to be true. That's the fascinating thing, isn't it?
Wednesday.
It's like conspiracy theories. So many of them, you think, well, they're just raving mad. And then you think, wait a minute. Then years down the line, Bob's your uncle. Right. Have a wonderful, wonderful bank holiday Monday. If you're in the UK, if you're in Europe or America, enjoy the rest of your day. It's early over there. Neil Long will be back with his fabbed guest on Wednesday at 12 o'clock, hence the name of the Midday Show. Until then, from Neil and myself, try and stay out of trouble.